Hey, Lightsiders, it's Kyle. I'm here to make you smile, and today we're going to talk about relationships for a while. So, I had the opportunity to go to dinner with two great guys. One being my father, who you guys have seen on my Instagram before. Hey, Corbin, my nephew's watching. And also one of my first dental mentors, a guy named Chris Larson, who is a retired oral surgeon from Orange County. So I got to sit with these two great men, great dentists, that together have 90 years of experience. And it was so interesting. We talked about patients, we talked about staff, we talked about family, we talked about dental school, professors. And then Chris said something that I thought was very profound. He said, life is nothing more than a series of relationships. And looking back, he's at the end of his career. He's retired. He did oral surgery for 45 years. Similar to my dad. And to think back on how he thinks of life as a series of relationships, I just thought was so profound. And I wanted to relate it to my life and share this with you and see if this may help you with your career and your relationships. So I think a lot of the stress that comes in dentistry. Sorry, I got a call. A lot of the stress that comes from dentistry is from relationships. I know that it's been like that for me. It has been with patients, with staff, with other doctors, referrals. And I think if we focus on relationships and put that as a priority, and of course, communication comes with that we can prevent the stress that comes into our practices. So, I try to learn from people that have been through things before me, and then I'm trying to bring that to you guys, make that a little bit easier. So when I take these two guys, these two great men that I look up to with 90 years of dental experience together, I want to just sit and take all the little nuggets from them and find what I can learn from them. And what was something so funny is never in the conversation did they say, gosh, I wish I worked more. No, they discussed how Chris would take off to watch his daughter's dance recitals, and my dad would take work off to come to our water polo games or to my dance recitals or to some performance that I may have with one of my bands. And these guys, I think, were such a good testament of loving what they do for work, but understanding that it's not what defines them as a person. It's not why they were put on this earth. And both of them are great dentists. Their patients loved them. They, of course, had stress like every other dentist. But they knew how to separate their purpose from their profession. And that's one of the topics that we talk about a lot in the light side course, is making sure that you can put your profession to the side and know what it's there for. Know that that's how you make money. That may be a passion of yours, but it really can't be your purpose. And so when we think about the fact that life is nothing but a series of relationships, then we have to really focus on relationships, right? Relationships are so important. And I found a lot of problems myself early in my career on my relationships. I thought that I was a great communicator. I always thought I was a great communicator. What I found is that I may be communicating the wrong thing. So with staff members, for example, I needed to recognize more of their strengths, right? I was, I'm really focused on improving. I always want to get better. I always want to be better at something. I always want to be faster, more efficient, make more money, et cetera, et cetera. But not everybody's like that, right? And we have to figure out who of our staff members do want to improve, and when we can give them those little insights on how they can improve, how they can do better, but also recognizing when they're doing something well and telling them that. And I think that was something that I wasn't good at, but I've been able to improve on, is the fact that I can now recognize when my staff members are doing something great and give them that little boost that day. Hey, great job on putting on that rubber dam, or taking out that IV line. It was great. I saw that the patient didn't have any pain during that. Thank you for having the topical ready, or whatever. These little aspects of recognizing people can really go a long way. And it shouldn't come from a place that is, fake or in any way. It should really come from, are you really appreciating this person? Because I tell you, I've been an employee many years. I've had every type of job you can think of, from a smoothie maker to a professional dancer to, I fixed computers in college. I mean, just random stuff. When you're recognized for any small little thing that you do, it makes you want to work harder. It makes you want to do better. And of course, we need to reprimand people sometimes and tell them when they've done something wrong, if it's dangerous, or if it can cause problems to the business or to the patient, but also thinking about the good side. Now, that's with staff members. With patients, where I had problems previously, and I've talked about this here before, was discussing complications. So if life is nothing but a series, I put serious, I just realized. Life is nothing but a series, not a serious, a series of relationships. We need to have fantastic relationships. And everybody knows that when you have a patient that you have a great relationship with, you see them on the schedule and you go, awesome. I'm so glad that he or she is coming in. They're so easy to talk to. They do whatever I say I recommend. If I say they need a crown, they get a crown. If I say they need a certain type of cleaning, they get that type of cleaning. And then on the other side, you have the patients that you don't have a great relationship with. And you all know these patients. You know them by name because you see them on the schedule and you say, oh, John's coming in? All right, well, let's prepare for this, I guess. You know that, he's not gonna do what we tell him to do. He doesn't want to take x-rays. He's always rude to the staff members. And then your staff members are in a bad position, and it creates more stress in the entire place. So creating good relationships is so important. And I think that we maybe need to go outside the realm of dentistry and study in general how to create good relationships with people. And that's what I've started doing, is reading books, listening to podcasts, watching videos on how to be a better communicator. Because I tell you, nothing prepares you for learning how to communicate like being married. For those of you that are married, you realize how things can go really well or really poorly very fast if you're not a great communicator. And learning how to communicate well with patients is something that is kind of totally different, right? Because oftentimes we're dealing with people that are troubled, in the sense that they come in with pain or aesthetic concerns, or they're uncomfortable. And those are hard people to deal with, right? I mean, it's not like someone you meet on the street that is having a great day. Patients come in because oftentimes they have a concern. And you're going to be telling them, something that is potentially painful, uncomfortable, and expensive. I mean, how much more difficult does it get, right? It's not like we're selling oftentimes luxury. I mean, of course, when it's maybe a strictly cosmetic case, maybe you don't have to get them numb for anything, but if they have to be sedated, or if they have to have surgery, or if they have to sit in a chair for 4 hours, they have to take impressions. It's not always comfortable for patients. So we need to be excellent communicators. And what you see, and maybe for good or bad, is that some of the most successful dentists, and this is something that Christian Coachman always says, some of the most successful dentists are not the best dentists clinically, right? And you look and say, gosh, they're so successful, but you maybe look at their aesthetics, or you look at their preps, you're like, it's okay, I guess. But what these people are great at is communication. They're great at gaining trust with patients. They're great at sitting down with someone, putting them at ease, and allowing that patient to say, I believe what this doctor has to say, and I'm going to spend my time, I'm going to spend my money, and I may even be uncomfortable for this, but I've been communicated to in a fashion that I can understand, that I can appreciate, and that I can trust. And so imagine if you take these excellent communication skills and pair that with excellent clinical skills. And this is actually something that I think my partner Matt Najad has really done. Is, many of you who follow him know that his clinical skills are fantastic. I mean, the rubber dam and his amazing preps and his aesthetic concern and taking everything into his own hands, he has gone to the next level with his clinical abilities. But what you don't see, that I see when I'm in the practice with Matt, is the honesty, how he talks with patients, how he can build trust with patients so clearly. And oftentimes these are patients that have already had veneers done, or they've had problems with previous dentists. And so he's coming in already behind the 8 ball, meaning like he's just another dentist, right? But I've learned so much from him and how honest and straightforward with patients he is. One thing with our practice is we do not work quickly. We practice slow dentistry, like one of my mentors, Miguel Stanley. I say my Portuguese cousin. We are slow, and for a reason. We take our time. We think it's important to not work quickly. And so you need to communicate that to patients, but patients don't always like that, right? Patients may come in and say, well, yeah, I need this done as fast as possible, and this and this and that. And at our practice, we have to really tell them, okay, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, that's not how our practice is. That's not how our practice works. We really like to take our time. There may be people that do it cheaper. There may be people that do it faster. However, we think that how we do it is best in our hands and is best for our patients. That may not be the right fit for you. And I think we have to get to this point where we understand that not every patient will be a patient of ours. And this was something that I had to unfortunately learn the hard way. I wanted to help everybody. And it came from a good place, right? I want to help people. If someone's in pain, if they didn't like their previous dentist, if they had a bad experience, I wanted to be the hero. And what I realized was that it wasn't always the previous dentist's fault, right? Sometimes certain patients are difficult. And so what we had to do was realize that we can't accept every case. Sometimes a case comes in and, it may be awesome. It may be exciting. It may be the case you've been wanting to do. You may think, I can really help this person. However, you have to realize that this may be a case that causes you more stress than it's worth, or causes your staff more stress than it's worth. And we have to understand that. So for those of you that have just came on recently, this idea of life is a series of relationships, and I know I wrote serious, but life is a series of relationships. And relating that to dentistry, I had this dinner with two old guys, two old dentists that are very important to me. And I realized that their most important things that they took away from dentistry is relationships. And their most important thing that they took away from their life is relationships. It wasn't their profession. It was their relationships. And I remember hearing I don't know if it's a rumor or if it's true, but someone had told me that Willie Geller, who is, one of the most famous dental technicians in the world, who started Oral Design, that many of you may know of, our ceramist Paolo is a member of Oral Design, as many other people know a lot of Oral Design ceramists from Instagram, of course. I heard a story that one time Willie Geller was supposed to speak at this really big meeting, like this huge meeting. I think it was in Europe somewhere. And he showed some video for like 10 minutes, and then he came on and said, dentistry is about relationships, so sit and talk to each other. And he went off. And I heard people were pissed off because they wanted to see all of the amazing cases. And when I was told that, I thought how ridiculous that is for a speaker to say that. And thinking back on it now, it's pretty profound actually, and it shows how much he understands life and how much he can look back at his relationships that he has made through dentistry. So, to finish us off, I would just say that I was lucky enough to sit and have dinner with two great dentists, 90 years of experience, and what we talked about mostly was relationships. So focus on relationships, focus on how important they are with your staff, with your patients, with your family, with your friends, and make that a priority this week for you guys. The new Light Side course is going to be coming in a few weeks. I'll post the link in this IG Live, and it's also in my link in my bio. So if you're interested in getting on the wait list, please go. Hey, my buddy Dr. Matt Kepke just signed on. But thanks guys for following, and be sure to share this with anybody who you think needs to hear this now, who may be going through a hard time. If any of you out there are having a hard time and you don't have anybody to talk to, please private message me. I'm happy to get you in touch with other doctors, talk to you myself, because there's many doctors that are suffering in silence, and I don't want to hear any more stories about that. We need to be a community of dentists that support each other, that don't talk crap about each other, and that understand that mental health and resilience is an important part of our process, important part of our profession, and we need to start supporting each other. So thanks everybody, and have a great weekend.